What I'm about to show you will destroy any remaining faith you have in modern society. Dr. Drew just accidentally revealed the most damning statistics about young men that mainstream media has been desperately trying to hide. We're not just talking about a dating crisis, we're talking about the systematic sexual castration of an entire generation, and the people responsible are now pretending to be shocked by the results. 1/3 of men aged 18 to 24, the peak of their sexual prime, are completely celibate. Not struggling with dating, not having occasional dry spells, but living like monks in a world drowning in sexual imagery. And this isn't happening by accident. Every single factor creating this disaster was deliberately engineered by people who knew exactly what they were doing. The dating apps designed to keep you single. The pornography rewiring young brains. The chemical castration masquerading as hair loss treatment. The demonization of masculinity itself. The OnlyFans economy turning women into digital prostitutes and men into paying customers for relationships that will never exist. Dr. Drew stumbles through this discussion like a man trying to understand why his house is on fire while holding a lit match. He identifies every symptom while completely missing the systematic nature of the disease. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this isn't just a dating crisis, it's the planned obsolescence of Western civilization itself. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear will explain why your generation is the first in human history to voluntarily choose extinction over reproduction. And trust me, once you see the full scope of this psychological warfare, you'll never look at modern dating the same way again.
It turns out that, thanks to Anna pointing this out to me, that there's strong emerging evidence Gen Z is indeed less sexually active, dating less compared to previous generations.
Yes.
What's going on, guys?
So many things.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. But first, let me set it up and give you the deets. Okay, what's going on? So
can we go past can we go over?
We can if you can, Doc.
Yeah, I go over. Yeah.
So there have now been multiple studies indicating that young men. I'm talking about the ages when they're like
point by point as you're bringing these things up. Can I address them as you bring
them
them up?
Sure. So
each of these things have layers to them.
They do.
Young
so
men.
I'm going to give you
first. Let's talk about them.
We're going to talk about young men first, and this has to do with their sexual activity.
Yes.
So
you need to define young so we can.
Yes, I am.
Good point.
So let me do it uninterrupted so I can get it out.
Okay.
So Indiana University, for instance, did a study, and they found in their study of men between the ages of 18 to 24. So we're talking about the time when they like really want to get it on, usually, right?
Yes.
Only one in 3 of them reported no sexual activity in the past year. 1 in 3.
Yeah.
So 1/3 of young men in that age group.
Stop right there. 1/3 of men in their sexual prime are living like celibate monks, and we're supposed to pretend this is normal? This isn't just a statistic, this is the death rattle of Western civilization. These are men aged 18 to 24, when their testosterone should be turning them into walking sex machines, and instead they're sitting in their childhood bedrooms jerking off to pixels on a screen. But here's the thing that really pisses me off, everyone acts like this just happened overnight, like it's some mysterious cosmic event. No, this is the inevitable result of 50 years of systematic emasculation, and every single person in power knew exactly what they were doing. We've created a generation of eunuchs, and the architects of this disaster are now wringing their hands asking, where did we go wrong? You want to know where you went wrong? You told boys that their natural instincts were toxic. You medicated them into compliance. You taught them that approaching women was harassment. You flooded their brains with pornography from age 10. You gave women unlimited options through dating apps while simultaneously telling them they deserved everything and owed nothing. You created an economy where a woman can make 6 figures selling pictures of her feet while a man needs a college degree to work at Starbucks. And now you're shocked that young men have given up entirely? This isn't a dating crisis, it's a planned demolition of the nuclear family, and the rubble you're seeing is an entire generation of men who'd been psychologically castrated before they even hit puberty. The fact that we're discussing this like it's some natural phenomenon instead of recognizing it as deliberate social engineering shows just how thoroughly the programming has worked.
No sex at all.
Yeah.
And I want to know why.
What's the comparison point? Like what happened 20 years ago?
What was the,
Yeah, 20 years ago, what was the rate?
I don't know the comparison
rate. I
rate.
promise you it was higher 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Published in the Archives of Sexual Behavior, the study is the first to include such a comprehensive assessment of diverse sexual behaviors. The information came from U.S. participants ages 14 to 49 during 2009.
14 to 49.
Yeah.
2009?
No, between 2009 and 2018. So this is a long-term study that they did.
So, and by the way, it's worse since COVID.
Yes,
COVID
okay.
made it
Oh,
worse.
yeah, completely.
Yes, so there have been other studies showing that this was even more pronounced after COVID.
What's the mechanism there?
Really, before you go,
Many.
doctor, can I just say one quick thing?
Please.
I blame feminism. Listen, Tinder just put out a height filter. What I can say about this
Girl,
dating
that is
market
not feminism.
is
Women hating on the short kings is not
but
feminism.
women believing that they should be empowered enough that they can create their own custom-built men, that they deserve everything, don't need to work for anything, whereas men, they need to build up their income, their body, their physique,
Their height.
their personal development. Apparently, that's the one thing they can't build up, right? This dating market is totally rigged for women. And I think that's why guys aren't getting laid.
Benny Johnson said this to me, and then I'm going to stop talking because I definitely want to hear from Dr. Drew, but he's like, the world was a better place when men had a harder time seeing boobs. And I kind of wonder.
Okay,
But anyway,
my bad.
That's another layer to it. That their men are just, okay.
Too much porn.
So let me just,
that is my question.
Let me quickly clarify the study, okay? Because it wasn't a long-term study. My bad, I misread this. So they did the study in 2009, and then they did the same study in 2018. Yes. So to compare, and this is what they write. So they say, compared to adult participants in the 2009 survey, adults in the 2018 group were significantly more likely to report no penile vaginal intercourse in the prior year, the researchers found. Study participants were also significantly less likely to report engaging in any other sexual behaviors, such as oral sex or, other things.
Anything. Yeah.
All modes of past year partnered sex were reported by fewer in the 2018 cohort. So it is a growing problem.
Oh, yeah. And so we know birth rates are plummeting, right?
Right.
So people are not forming pairs. They're not falling in love. They're not having sexual encounters. There's some data that shows that the apps are leaving a 5 or 10% zone of men that are having lots of sex.
Finally, someone accidentally admits what's been painfully obvious for years. Dating apps have created a sexual caste system more rigid than anything in human history. The top 10% of men, the chads, the high-value males, the genetically gifted, are running through 80% of women like it's a sexual conveyor belt, while the bottom 90% of men are left fighting over the scraps with the desperation of starving dogs. But here's what's really insidious about this system. It's not just hypergamy, it's industrialized hypergamy. For thousands of years, women's mate selection was constrained by geography, social circles, and practical considerations. Now, every woman has access to the top 1% of men in her entire metropolitan area at the swipe of a finger. Why would a 6 out of 10 woman settle for a 6 out of 10 man when she can have casual sex with a 9 out of 10 man whenever she wants? The apps aren't designed to create relationships, they're designed to create addiction. Tinder makes money when you stay single and keep swiping. Match Group has literally built a business model around human loneliness and sexual frustration. They've gamified human mating to the point where finding a life partner has become indistinguishable from playing a rigged slot machine. And the women complaining about "where are all the good men" are the same women who've priced themselves out of their own market. They've spent their peak fertility years rotating through the same pool of high-value men who have zero incentive to commit, and now they're hitting the wall wondering why Prince Charming won't text them back. Meanwhile, the men who would have been their matches are either completely checked out or so demoralized they can barely function. This isn't dating dysfunction, it's the predictable result of giving women unlimited sexual options while simultaneously destroying men's confidence, resources, and social value. We've created a winner-take-all sexual economy, and the losers aren't just individuals, it's the entire concept of stable pair bonding.
Not having sexual encounters. There's some data that shows that the apps are leaving a 5 or 10% zone of men that are having lots of sex, and they're the ones that
super
are super users, and they're actually hurting people. They're hurting women, and women are. I hear a lot from women. Where are the men? Where are all the men?
There's a term for that.
There's
They're
no
called
men.
fuckboys.
Well, you have
Literally,
vilified being a man. You have vilified it. I have been around the Gen Z and the millennials for quite some time. And what I saw was men fearful of being seen as toxic or trying to rape.
Dr. Drew stumbles onto the most important point in this entire discussion and then completely fails to understand its implications. We haven't just vilified masculinity, we've made it literally illegal. Every natural male instinct has been pathologized, criminalized, or socially destroyed. Approach a woman? That's harassment. Show confidence? That's toxic masculinity. Be persistent? That's stalking. That's controlling. Express anger? That's abuse. Show sexuality? That's objectification. The entire spectrum of normal male behavior has been redefined as predatory, and then we act shocked when men respond by withdrawing completely. But here's the really sick part: this isn't just about individual interactions. The entire educational system has been designed to crush masculine energy from kindergarten through college. Boys who can't sit still for 6 hours are medicated. Boys who show aggression are suspended. Boys who compete are taught that winning is toxic. Boys who take risks are labeled as problems. We've created an education system that treats normal male behavior as a disorder to be corrected. And then these same boys hit puberty and discover that the girls they've been taught to treat as equals are actually sexually attracted to the exact masculine traits they've been taught to suppress. The cognitive dissonance is so extreme that most of them just shut down entirely. They'd rather be celibate than risk being destroyed by a false accusation or social media mob. The Me Too movement, whatever its original intentions, has created a generation of men who are terrified of normal sexual interaction. They've seen what happens when allegations are made, careers destroyed, reputations ruined, lives ended, all based on accusations that can never be disproven. Why would any sane man risk that for a chance at sex or relationships? We've created a culture where masculinity is treated like a mental illness, and then we wonder why men are checking out en masse. This isn't just social engineering, it's psychological warfare against an entire gender, and the casualties are mounting by the millions.
They just withdrew. And if you, God help you, if you offer a girl a beer,
I'll take the beer.
I would too.
I'm a married
a friend that got kicked out of 2 bars in New York for buying women drink, 2 different bars.
Are you serious?
It's considered predatory.
Wow.
So men are scared shitless. They don't know what to do. Then because they're withdrawing so much, they first of all don't feel worth. They're being told they're not worthwhile. They're particularly young white men are told they're bad, they're evil, they're the source of all problems. And they don't develop the skills necessary to date, to communicate, to determine what they want to do. And they turn to porn.
I was going to ask you
and
that.
the porn gives them unrealistic expectations about everything.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Drew's analysis of pornography is so superficial it's almost insulting. Unrealistic expectations, that's like saying heroin creates unrealistic expectations about feeling good. Pornography isn't just setting unrealistic standards, it's literally rewiring the male brain to prefer digital stimulation over human connection. We're dealing with the first generation of men who've been exposed to unlimited hardcore pornography from the moment they hit puberty. These aren't unrealistic expectations, this is neurological rewiring on a massive scale. When you can access any sexual fantasy instantly, for free, with no social risk or emotional investment, why would you bother with the massive effort and potential rejection involved in pursuing real women? But here's what's really sinister about the pornography epidemic. It's not just about the content, it's about the timing. These boys are being exposed to the most extreme sexual content imaginable before they've had any real-world sexual experience. Their brains are literally being programmed to associate sexual arousal with pixels on a screen rather than human connection. And the porn industry knows exactly what they're doing. They've created increasingly extreme content designed to hijack the male reward system. What started with softcore magazines has evolved into hardcore videos that would have been considered torture porn just 20 years ago. The progression is deliberate. They need to constantly escalate the intensity to maintain the dopamine hit. The result is a generation of men who are literally incapable of normal sexual function. They can't get aroused by real women because their brains have been trained to require the hyperstimulation of pornography. They have erectile dysfunction in their 20s. They can't maintain relationships because real women can't compete with their digital fantasies. This isn't just about sexual dysfunction, it's about the complete destruction of the pair bonding mechanism that has kept human civilization functioning for millennia. When men prefer masturbation to sex, when they'd rather watch porn than pursue relationships, when they're more comfortable with digital women than real ones, you don't have a dating problem, you have a species extinction event.
And they sort of take the position like, I'm fine, I got my porn, I'm fine. And for the first time, I did a show called After Dark for a few years over at your mom's house, and I started hearing about, from young men, something I had not heard all these decades talking to young men, the use of prostitutes. They were starting to turn to prostitutes because they had no other option.
And not only that, but OnlyFans, because OnlyFans, especially in today's generation, young women are literally getting excited to turn 18 so they can create an OnlyFans, because
that breaks my
they are
heart.
seeing other women out there portray this lifestyle. And you know why they're oftentimes portraying it? Because there are affiliate programs attached to OnlyFans where if you recruit other women, you make a buck
like a pyramid scheme.
off of what they make.
Terrible.
It's a pyramid scheme for
Where are
sex.
the parents?
Welcome to the sexual economy of the future, where 18-year-old girls are being groomed to monetize their sexuality and 20-year-old men are paying for the privilege of parasocial relationships with women who will never meet them. This isn't empowerment, it's the industrialization of sexual exploitation. OnlyFans has created a system where women's primary economic value is their sexuality, and men's primary economic function is to pay for access to that sexuality without ever receiving it. It's prostitution without the sex, relationships without the connection, and intimacy without the intimacy. Both sides are being completely destroyed by this system. The women are being sold a lie about sexual empowerment while being turned into digital prostitutes. They're trading their long-term relationship value for short-term financial gain, and most of them don't realize the psychological damage they're doing to themselves until it's too late. You can't commodify your sexuality for years and then flip a switch and become capable of genuine intimacy. But the men are getting it even worse. They're not just paying for sexual content, they're paying for fake relationships with women who are literally being managed by teams of men whose job is to extract maximum revenue from their loneliness. They're emotional vampires being controlled by pimps with psychology degrees. The most black-pilled aspect of OnlyFans is that it's creating a generation of men who are literally paying for the privilege of being sexually frustrated. They're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on women who will never meet them, never touch them, never care about them, while simultaneously destroying their ability to form real relationships with available women. And the system is designed to be addictive. These platforms use the same psychological manipulation techniques as gambling apps, intermittent reinforcement, artificial scarcity, parasocial relationships, to keep men spending money on digital women while real women remain completely out of reach. We've created an economy where women's sexuality is commodified and men's loneliness is monetized, and somehow we're surprised that neither gender is capable of forming lasting relationships anymore.
This is the prostitution aspect is becoming more and more normalized, and it's not just that. They're not only buying these women's pictures, but then their managers are messaging them, building parasocial relationships with these men.
The parasocial relationship thing, it's huge.
It's sick.
So Dr. Drew, one last question, because I hear you in regard to culture and how that's changed and how that impacts, relationships in America. I am also curious about the impact of social media and how increasingly people aren't actually meeting with their friends in real life, communicating face to face. So when you 100%. Don't have that, there's like a difficulty in communicating when you're trying to, seduce someone into
all
a
of it
relationship.
Speaks of no experience, no skill.
Right.
I remember back in the 90s, I used to be, the hookup culture was the big thing. And I kept saying, you're not happy doing this, I can tell, because you're always drunk when you do it. And I was advocating dating, where you just sit down, enjoy time with somebody, learn who you are, learn who to break bread, whatever. Don't have all these expectations on every time you go out with somebody. That needs to come back again. That people need to hang out in person, in flesh with people a lot, and just enjoy that and develop a skill and start to figure out who you are, what you want, and who other people are. But this vilification of the young male has gone out of control. and they're pissed.
Yeah.
And I'm worried when they come out of it that they're
I have a
be...
confession.
Adam said
like
the same thing.
a big confession. Okay, so look, every woman is different. So I don't speak for all women.
You don't?
I
Why
don't.
not? Come
But
on.
I also have a problem with like some women, who have engaged in that, rhetoric in regard to men, kind of speaking on my behalf, because I'll just talk about my preference. My preference is masculine men, like traditionally masculine men. That's what I'm just attracted to. I can't explain why. It just is what it is. So this like push to make men meek is unfair to women who don't want meek men either.
I don't know any women who truly want that,
very
Dr.
few
Drew.
people
In fact,
want
from
that.
an evolutionary perspective,
Doesn't
the
make sense.
masculine guy
Right.
thing, I remember
like if
seeing
I'm
a
on
whole
a
study.
train or
So-
if I'm on the metro and there's someone who's threatening my safety and there's a bunch of men there and they just kind of sit back and let it happen, that's a freaking problem in
But
society.
the thing is,
That's right.
there's a huge demographic, to your point, who does celebrate wife guys, right? Like, remember how they elevated Doug Emhoff because he was all feminine and happy to be behind Kamala Harris? Do you remember that?
Well, they do it for women
no one's
too,
hot for
though.
Doug Emhoff,
They,
though,
I
What I mean
realize.
is, that's the kind of man
That's a
one-
psyop, Doug Emhoff.
I mean, look
You
at
know
look
what?
at
Everyone is hot for Doug Emhoff.
That's not what I'm saying. Is that's what they're celebrating as the archetype. And Dr. Drew, since you're here, I want to bring a medical component into this,
Okay.
and that's the use of Propecia and finasteride.
Yep.
I was going to ask you that.
is that
Could it
birth
be
control?
plummeting
So-
testosterone levels,
So
hair stuff?
here are the
Right.
It
things.
blocks androgens, which I'll let the doctor do
So
this.
Propecia and all these medicines do drop testosterone.
And millions of men
And they
are on
drop
it.
libido. And in about 20% of cases, it never comes back.
Oh God.
So when that was documented about 10 years ago, I had to call all my patients on Propecia and say, "Do you still want to continue?" Most of them did.
But
I would.
What about this?
So-
What about this piece
It never
too?
comes
That
back?
there were
20%.
some reports
10,
that when
20%.
women take birth
Hold on.
control, it
Also,
actually alters the type
it
of
can
men
go-
that they are attracted
or-
to. They are attracted to
Yep.
more beta,
Or it
feminine
drops their
males.
sex drive.
Tell me how to fix this finasteride problem. I need to know.
Hair transplants. Get off the finasteride.
No, but what if they're against
TRT.
it? Trust me, I've gone
You
down
can't
this
do the TRT because then they go bald. You see, if they have a problem, then you do TRT,
I've
but they will
asked-
go further bald.
I've
So
researched this extensively,
Yeah.
and one solution that was presented was topical finasteride.
Yeah,
But
so-
what
so-
if they have hair currently?
So the high dose Rogaine with finasteride and a steroid is a very effective topical agent. Some of it is absorbed still, but that is an alternative.
But you have a
yes.
bigger problem with crashing testosterone, and we
Yes.
don't know why.
Well,
and
it's all the above, plus obesity,
Obesity is a
testosterone
problem, yeah.
down, estrogen up.
Yep.
There's so many reasons our testosterone levels are down. We
You're-
need to get back. Resistance training
Yes.
is a part of our daily life.
Yep.
Everybody. And it's just we are unhealthy.
sleep,
and
Dr.
stress,
you're
weight
referring
management,
to-
lower body training, boosts testosterone
you and I would agree
naturally.
100% on this.
This is music to my ears. I love it. Thank you. Please.
But I have one more big sweeping thing I want to
Yes,
say. But
tell
before
us.
I finish, you finish the
you're
thought about
referring to
finasteride.
post-finasteride syndrome, correct?
Yes.
And you're saying it's incurable, so basically their
In-
libido is gone forever.
in some-
That's
some
what
people.
that, in
He
a
said in
small,
some.
in a limited
that
percentage.
20% you're saying
10,
there's
20%.
nothing that can
That's
be
what
done.
that's what some data came out with about 10 years ago.
That's
yes.
devastating news. Like for humanity, the
Yeah, I
fact that
know.
millions of men are on it.
No, you can put that person on testosterone and other things and override it, but then they'll go further bald.
Oh, God.
And so,
But,
so it's-
basically, these men are. Let me be clear what's happening here. These American men, and they're choosing their hair over sex, is what they're choosing.
This might be the most damning indictment of our entire culture in this whole discussion. Millions of American men are literally choosing to chemically castrate themselves rather than go bald. Think about what this says about our priorities as a civilization. We've created such a lookist, superficial culture that male pattern baldness, a completely natural part of aging that affects 85% of men, is treated like a death sentence. The fear of being bald is so intense that men would rather destroy their libido, their ability to build muscle, their energy levels, and their overall masculinity than lose their hair. But here's what's really sick about this. They're making this choice because they know it's necessary to compete in the modern sexual marketplace. In a world where women make split-second decisions based on dating app photos, where male value is determined by superficial metrics, where baldness can drop you several points in the sexual hierarchy, finasteride isn't vanity, it's survival. These men aren't stupid. They know that in our swipe right culture, being bald significantly reduces their chances of getting matches, dates, or relationships. So they're choosing to sacrifice their actual sexuality for the appearance of sexual viability. It's like cutting off your legs to fit into smaller shoes. And the pharmaceutical industry is making billions off this desperation. They're literally selling chemical castration as a lifestyle choice, and men are lining up to buy it. The fact that 20% of men who take finasteride never recover their libido is treated as an acceptable side effect rather than a medical catastrophe. This isn't just about individual choices, it's about a culture that has made normal male aging so socially unacceptable that men would rather be chemically neutered than naturally bald. We've created beauty standards so extreme that men are willing to sacrifice their core biological function to meet them. The finasteride epidemic is the perfect metaphor for modern masculinity, men destroying their natural selves to compete in an artificial system that was designed to make them fail. What we're witnessing isn't just a dating crisis, it's the systematic destruction of human pair bonding, and it's not accidental. Every single factor discussed in this video, the dating apps, the pornography, the OnlyFans economy, the chemical castration, the demonization of masculinity, the impossible beauty standards, represents a coordinated attack on the fundamental biological and social structures that have kept human civilization functioning for millennia. The dating apps were deliberately designed to prevent relationships and maximize profit from human loneliness. The pornography industry has intentionally created increasingly extreme content to hijack the male reward system and make real relationships impossible. The pharmaceutical industry is literally selling chemical castration as a lifestyle choice. The feminist movement has successfully pathologized normal male behavior while simultaneously creating women who are incapable of pair bonding. The education system has been weaponized to crush masculine energy from childhood. The media has convinced an entire generation that their natural instincts are toxic. This isn't dysfunction, it's design. The people in power know exactly what they're doing, and the results are exactly what they intended. A sexually frustrated, isolated, demoralized population is easier to control than confident, paired, family-oriented communities. Men without families don't organize. Men without sexual outlets don't rebel. Men without hope don't fight. The declining birth rates, the sexlessness epidemic, the mental health crisis, the social isolation, the political polarization, these aren't separate problems, they're all symptoms of the same systematic attack on human nature. We're not just watching the collapse of dating culture, we're watching the planned obsolescence of the human species. And the most black-pilled aspect of this entire situation is that even when the problems are clearly identified, the solutions being proposed are completely inadequate. The same people who created this system are now offering to fix it with therapy, communication skills, and individual responsibility. It's like asking the mafia to investigate organized crime. Dr. Drew and his generation of experts are still operating from a framework where these problems can be solved with individual solutions, when what we're dealing with is systematic warfare against human nature itself. You can't therapy your way out of social engineering. You can't communicate your way out of economic manipulation. You can't confidence your way out of a rigged system. The truth is that we've created a sexual marketplace that is fundamentally broken, and the casualties are an entire generation of young men who are checking out completely. But this isn't just about individuals suffering, it's about the death of Western civilization itself. When men stop pursuing women, when women stop forming families, when children stop being born, when pair bonding becomes impossible, you don't have a dating crisis, you have an extinction event. The most brutal black pill of all is that this system is now self-sustaining. The people who would fight it are too demoralized to resist. The people who recognize it are too isolated to organize. The people who could change it are too invested in maintaining it. We've created a perfect storm of sexual dysfunction, social isolation, and psychological manipulation that feeds on itself and grows stronger with each generation. The young men sitting in their childhood bedrooms, chemically castrated by finasteride, psychologically neutered by pornography, socially isolated by dating apps, economically drained by OnlyFans, and culturally demonized by feminism, aren't just victims, they're the canaries in the coal mine of a civilization that has chosen to destroy itself rather than admit it made a mistake. And the most black-pilled truth of all? Even if everyone reading this understands the problem, even if the analysis is perfect, even if the solutions are obvious, nothing will change. Because the system isn't broken, it's working exactly as intended. The people with the power to fix it are the same people who broke it, and they have no incentive to change anything. This isn't just the death of dating, it's the death of hope itself. And maybe that was always the point.